Hi, everybody. Welcome to Conversations with Calvin, We the Species. Yesterday at this time, here in New Jersey, it was 99 and now it's 68 degrees. So we have great variability in weather. And I've just spent 40 of the most amazing, interesting minutes you could spend with Sam Kim and talk about the universe. We got connected and Sam's journey, which we're going to talk all about, his spiritual journey, his near-death experience. He's a Jersey guy, more bonding. And it's funny, when we first started 40 minutes ago, the background was sunny and bright, and I thought it was an artificial background, and I thought it was kind of neat. And as we're talking in the last 40 minutes and getting acquainted with each other, it's getting darker and darker. And I just realized I had this epiphany that that's a real background. So
That's a
this is going to be really one special, delightful, uh, 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 introspective, fascinating time that we're going to spend with Sam because of his near-death experience and the fact that he's now into meditation and exercise and he is part of the Omega Institute and he's going to talk about that. But his whole journey from from South Korea to America it's quite a journey and settling in and becoming a plumber and he's still that. But more importantly, his journey to spirit is it's so fascinating. And everybody who knows me, I thrive on spirituality. My second and important novel is A Tortoise in My Hair, Journey to Spirit, where I talk about my character's journey to spirit, which is really kind of like my journey to spirit. So all of this, Sam and I are going to uh, talk about. So, this little monologue is done. Sam, why don't you do a little bit of a background, a little history, and then we'll talk about things that are important to you. Take it away.
Sure, Calvin. Thank you for your time. I appreciate this opportunity. Um, like Calvin said, long story short, I'm from South Korea. I came to the country in 1990. When I arrived, I lived in a town called Jersey City for a year. And after that, I moved to suburbs called Secaucus. And from there, I grew up just like a odd token Asian kid in a predominantly white Italians. But I grew up being liked, making a lot of friends, interacting, playing sports as a normal kid would do. And as I grew up after high school, going a little college, I knew there was a little something more than just life itself. Uh, as I was getting a little older in my 20s, as my friends was getting married with kids, I was not in the same lane or in the same life directions or path as everyone else was. So long story short, I got into bodybuilding. I started to do bodybuilding as I was working as a plumber full time. And throughout the years, all I did was work and did bodybuilding for probably 3, 4 years. And even though I was enjoying doing the workout and plumbing, making money, there was always still an emptiness inside of me. So as I was developing my skill set in plumbing in terms of being a better plumber, running bigger jobs, doing a couple of the big projects, industrial commercial buildings. I was at a service call on May 2nd, 2017, where it was a water heater. And when I went to for the call for the water heater, I noticed it was an electric water heater. Long story short, I double checked the power and I asked the gentleman who was working at the facility if the power was off. He specifically said he shut off the panel off himself.
Mm.
And I should have double checked on my own, but I took his word and I was zapped. And from there, I don't really understand or I was thrown or maybe like how I was injured, but I definitely went to light white tunnel and got visited by a couple of if you want to say angelic or light beings. A little interaction here and there showed me basically the entire void or the other side of what how beautiful it was. And during the process, again, I don't know how long I was away for. I saw myself being um, in the stretcher, being pulled into the ambulance. And as the ambulance was going up the hill, going towards the helicopter, I saw my body being drawn into the helicopter. And from there, I went to another round up in space or light, wherever you want to say, and another interaction with some other beings telling me what I need to do. And as I was um, focusing the present moment, it was fading away slowly and slowly, just coming out of like a dream state. And then, long story short, I opened up my eyes and I asked the dude, why'd you wake me up? And since then, life has been very difficult because getting a little taste of the other side and coming back to the 3D world was very unpleasant for me. But it took me a long time for me to really adjust in this life that we all have to go through. And the more I live and follow my desires and listen to my higher self or the callings, life has been getting a lot more easier. So since then, I developed some mediumship, some healing modalities as well. I do a lot of meditating and qigong, a lot of energy work. So I'm trying to pursue a different life path instead of just being a plumber. As much as I would love to do it, but my body can't handle that heavy work. But I've developed a couple of different healing method that I would call light force instead of life force.
Okay.
And I would usually use energetic light to heal people. And just like yourself, we all have this intuitive, innate abilities, but it's just like we need to remind ourselves or remind the others that everything is there in terms of what we need, but we just have to really focus internally and see where this comes up and live the life that
Yeah.
where we should live and how to live instead of just following the crowd, keeping up with the Joneses, and instead of just instant gratification, just keep on um, the life path that you deserve and you know where you could get to be where you want to be. So
Wow.
that's pretty much the
Yeah,
story.
it's a wow, and we'll kind of explore that. We talked about it. I'm listen. I'm such a believer in your journey and where you're at and what you do because I live it, and I live it in my way. But I've discovered the fact, in my opinion, we all have this gift. We all have this antenna, and every one of us. But nobody's different. We all have this. We're all children. We have this antenna, this ability to reach out and to get. And as I've learned, the more you reach out and get, the more you get, the more you receive. And of course, and you're a plumber, and you're a regular working person. You're a plumber.
Regular Joe, yes.
Regular job. And it's funny. It's not funny, but I always, I'm not saying this because you're here, but I've always admired and all the respect in the world for plumbers because I mean, I can't tell you how many times we have plumbers here for a million different things. Something I can't do, and it's a gift. It's a gift to have that talent to be able to do that. And the great thing about plumbing is there isn't an AI program out there that will be ever able to replace you. You know, and I like that.
Let's keep it that way.
It's going to
Yes.
be that way. Not a shot. Anyway. Um, and here's an interesting question. So how do you, Sam, how do you reconcile your work as a plumber with, balancing, reconciling, being a plumber with spiritual healing?
Well, I like that question that you asked. But in terms of the plumbing side, we all have plumbing things internally, like our organs, our vessels, our veins, our intestines. And if you really think about it, that's a system that needs to be cleared out. And if you really understand energetically, we could use the energy or the intentions or just with our breath to utilize what we need to do to make our vessel, our body, our internal plumbing to be clear so we could work optimally. So if that makes sense,
Hmm.
that's one of the methods that I would help
Hmm.
people to visualize your internal plumbing system to clear out and flush out the things that you no longer need
Okay.
for you to be the best person that you could possibly be.
Okay. Okay. Um, what does get over death mean to you, and how do you help others achieve this? Um,
I love this question. Getting over that God, God,
ah,
because at the end of the day, we have an expiration date, and most of the times people are fearful of the unknown, especially death. But since I already had a little taste or the little glimpse of the other end, um, between you and I can't wait till I go. But I'm not ready to go yet because that I'm still here. But to help others to really not to fear death, but to be more open, because if you're not fearful of the death, you could have more of an easier, more harmonious life instead of resisting or instead of trying to do this or that before our time. So it's just the preparation, I guess. This is why I do a lot of meditation and healing, especially for people, maybe even in hospice, to just allow to nature to take its course. And when your time is here, you'll have no regrets
hmm.
or no struggles. You'll just go organically,
Okay.
effortlessly.
Okay.
And it's really not that painful. But during the time in between birth and the expiration date, um, there are things that all of us have a calling within ourselves that we should be doing. But again, with society, the media, um, the doctrination of different belief systems, that's just putting layers upon layers into our true essence, who we really are. But once you remove the mundane, materialistic things, you'll know exactly what's for you, what you need,
Hmm.
other than the stuff what you think you want. And
Hmm.
it'd just be a better, easier life, if that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah, it does make sense. Um, you touched on some of this, but can you describe your daily spiritual routine? You do chanting and meditation and exercise, and how important that is in your life. And
Yeah.
I underline the word exercise because I do that a lot, and it's wonderful.
Um, just like I said, our vessel, our body is very important. It makes us who we are. But the cleaner our internal um plumbing system with our mind, it's less rigid. So if you have a stream of water with no rocks or no debris, it'll be smoother, just like a pipe. If there's no debris or clog, it'll be easier for that smoothing sensation to flow.
Hmm.
So if you keep the body moving, operating accordingly, the body can uh, give you more of a, I would say, simpler, easier, less painful life. because the most important part is our vessel. That's where our, they say, that's our temple. So if you keep the temple clean and with less um, artificial or less synthetic human GMO stuff, our body could work naturally, organically, just like nature, because we are part of nature.
Do you have any kind of like diet, a special kind of diet, nutrition? Uh,
Well, I'll be honest with you. I like to eat meat sometimes, but as I get older, my body doesn't take the meat too
okay.
well because the digestive system is getting a little too much.
Okay.
But I try to eat very light, um, more smaller meals throughout the day, less meals throughout the night. Um, but if I do eat bad, I'll do a fast, a 24-hour fast.
Okay.
Time to time, I would do like once a month, a 24-hour fast to
Mm-hmm.
clean out my
Right.
system.
Which
But
is great.
obviously, do a lot of water intake, and definitely sweating is one of the important things I think a lot of people should do. But just keeping the body moving, just like a car. If it stays in the garage for X amount of time, it's not going to run too well. You just got to keep the body moving and just deep inhales and exhales too. And I think that helps very easily
Okay.
with the right intention.
Yeah. I, in my own little way, underline the word exercise. I told you before that I had fallen down 11 steps and somersaulted, and I should have died. And one of
Yes.
I had a bunch of doctors that I see, and I talked to them about that. And one doctor who's brilliant, and he said to me, Kevin, all this exercise you've done all these years, I used to go to a gym and tennis, and I mean all this stuff, riding the exercise bike, 3, 4 times a week. He said all of that built up your body. So, I'm looking for a spiritual element to how I walked away from that. But there's also the real element of exercise and taking care of your body, which is what you just said, Sam. Taking care of
Hmm.
your body and so that when things do happen, your body is better able to take care of you if you take care of it.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah. And I do um in the middle of the pandemic, me and the rest of the world gained a lot of weight because we're all eating and everything. So I get these epiphanies, these spiritual epiphanies. And so in the middle of the pandemic, I started to read up about intermittent fasting. You were talking about fasting,
Hmm. Yes.
and I read about intermittent fasting. So in my for myself, I put myself on an intermittent fasting regime, which 4 years later I still do. So at midnight, I'm done. Uh, uh, I have a yogurt at midnight, and I don't eat breakfast until the following day at noon. So my body goes through a 12-hour period. I drink water, of course, but it goes through a 12-hour period basically every day of no intake. So, sometimes
That's good.
yeah, I mean, I don't, sometimes I say I don't really know what I'm doing, but it works because it keeps my weight down and stuff. And but uh, and I would love to learn more about the chanting and stuff like that. We can talk about that someday. Um, I just want to go off topic a second. There's a couple cute little questions that I picked up as a
Sure.
journalist. You can answer with one answer, two answers, three answers, no answer. It's kind of cute, but here goes. So excluding family or friends, somebody living or dead, you'd like to spend a day with.
Probably Bruce Lee.
Okay, great answer. Great answer. Great answer. He's one of the great mysteries of the universe, isn't he? Spiritual and everything, and so many questions remain unanswered about Bruce. So that was a great answer. And another question I like to ask, uh, do you have any like favorite movies? Do you,
Um, I think it's called Cloud Atlas or Sky Atlas.
okay,
It's with Tom Hanks and Holly Berry.
okay.
It's uh it's a story about reincarnation,
Oh,
and it's a very fascinating movie because the they show the timelines from the previous to the future, and they do show in depth of details in how the pharmaceutical company operates. Very deep, well written movie, and that would probably be my favorite movie.
I gotta. I just wrote that down. I'm taking notes. I don't know if you see. I'm taking notes on you.
Yes.
There's not that many interviewers out there in the United States who take notes on people they interview. Jimmy Kimmel doesn't do that, and Jimmy Fallon doesn't do that, but I do it. So I wrote that down. I'll check that out. Cool. Um, so back to work. Um, how do you integrate your spiritual beliefs into your interactions with your plumbing clients? That's a interesting uh, interaction.
That is a very good question. I will say I'm very intuitive. Depending on the individuals or depending on the job, um, I allow, if you want to say, spirit to help me. If there's a clog somewhere in that facility or house, I would kind of intuitively kind of see where the problem is, and I'll know exactly where to go and what pipes I need to unclog for the drain to go down. And as for individuals, um, I could sense individuals pretty good in terms of their mannerism, their the way of how they are, their presentations, and then I go off by them. So um, I'm not going to say I'm psychic, but I could read people pretty well to know how to facilitate or direct the point for me to fix
Hmm.
or solve problems mechanically. So,
Okay. Okay. Um, this is interesting too. So, how do you stay grounded in combat burnout while balancing these very two special demanding paths? The spirituality of you and the plumbing. It's an interesting
um,
balance.
yeah, I'm a hermit. I like to be alone a lot. Um, and one of my other fun activities I like to do, I like to go for walks, especially in nature or by the water. So those are two very important things that I do often, but I do need a lot of alone time for me to ground after I'm in a big place at a concert or play or facility because I do get drained pretty easily.
Mhm.
So,
Okay. Can you share a story of how you help someone, quote, awaken their truth or make a conscious choice for growth? Do you have it's like a success story. Have you had some of those?
um, I'll just tell you a brief story. When I was younger in my 20s, uh, back in my 20s, I used to party a lot. I'd go to nightclubs, lounges. And I would say my thing is like I like to observe. I like to see the how everything operates. And once you're in the system or the facility for quite some time, you know the whole dynamic of how things work. And during the time, I had a couple of colleagues with me where I would help them to be be a better worker. So, long story short, I would work there for maybe several years. A new guy would come in, and I'll just give them the whole spiel: do this, do this, do this. Don't do this, do this, do this. So, and I try not to make anything too complicated because life is too complicated as well. But if you make it very simplistic and understandable, I think everyone could understand how to operate their life or do their task easily. Long story short, after a couple of years of him working with me, he starts to own his own facility, a club or nightclub that he owns.
Wow.
So I would have to say, and he told me well as my, himself, like if it wasn't for me, he wouldn't have this type of
Wow.
lifestyle.
Wow.
So I can say I could zoom out to see the larger picture. And
Hmm.
if I need to focus, I can zoom in to focus on the specific little details.
Okay.
But I try to see everything all in an eagle eye, bird's eye point of view. And then from there to dissect what I need to focus on.
Okay. Interesting. Interesting. Um, what are do you have any like favorite spiritual podcasts or pieces of like classical music and stuff that energize you?
Well, I'll say this. After my awakening or my near death, I start to really follow channelers like trance speakers, alternative speaking. So the one guy, his name is Bashar. I'm sure you've heard of him. And another guy, his name is Lee Cara Cryon. So those two individuals really help me ground and really helps me to be in a higher state of mind
Hmm.
when I listen to their channelings with their messages.
Okay.
And it's always very synchronistic, where just like music, if you're feeling down, you put a music or radio on, you have exactly the same music that you need to hear for you to build yourself up. Same thing. I'll do a lot of YouTubes or the couple of podcasts here and there, and whatever station or whatever person I'm listening to, that's the exact message that I need. So I guess at the end of the day, the spirit or the algorithm knows what I need.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, you said something interesting, and part of the thing about music. When I went to Sedona a bunch of years ago, there was a little village called Telopaki, and
Mm,
most Sedona is mostly Native American, and it's funny. I always had this. I can't explain it, and of course, I told you before we went on air that I did I worked with a clairvoyant, and she told me I'm 1,200 years old, and there's been elements to me. I'm just sharing this with you, Sam. There's been elements to me all these years, something about the Native American experience that I couldn't explain. And when I went to Sedona and the Telopaki, I bought this music. It was by Coyote Oldman, and it was native Incan panpipes, and the music is haunting to me, and it pulls me and it draws me. And I two things. So some years ago, a bunch of years ago, I was listening to the music that I bought in Sedona, and I listened to it for a few hours, and it was so powerful in me that I went into the kitchen to my poor wife. I say poor wife because she has to bear the brunt of all these things, and I said, I got to go to Sedona tomorrow. She said, what do you mean? I said, I gotta go. I'm being pulled. I gotta go there tomorrow. Please just let me go. And I went. 2 days later, I flew out to Sedona, and I spent all because of that music, which was so powerful in my life. I mean, so and I'm afraid to listen to it. I don't listen to it anymore because if I listen to it, I'm going to go back to Sedona. And enough is enough. 12 times is enough. But spirit, but music can sometimes when I get really when I get down and I just need like I need a kick. I need a kick. I'll go listen to Beethoven's Ode to Joy,
mm.
the Sixth Symphony. I listened to Ode to Joy, that 2 3 minute segment, and oh wow, do I feel better. And one other
Yeah,
thing,
classical music is my favorite too.
yeah, I listen to Ode to
Yeah.
Joy, and I can't even comprehend how these folks wrote this stuff. It's so powerful, and there's been nothing like it, ever since. It's just wonderful. And so whenever I need Ode to Joy, I put it on and I listen to it, and especially with all my writing, sometimes it gives me a swift kick. I have to tell you one other thing. Um, uh, Before I last my and I'm so excited to share this with you. I told you about this Native American thing with me, and I couldn't explain it. So a bunch of years ago, I joined 23andMe, and I sent them a sample, and they did a genetic thing on me, and it came back, and I have the paperwork, and it came back, and they said I may have had a Native American ancestor in 1670, between 1670 and 1750. Now, I don't know how that happened, but it said that according to my genetics. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Anyway, yeah, I like to share this stuff with you because it's all under the umbrella, the spirituality which you're talking about. Finally, the last thing to ask you, Sam, what advice would you give to somebody seeking to find a deeper purpose in their own life? Do you have any kind of advice?
Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid, and you're not alone. You know, this and also like it could be worse. And I tell people this, if you're in America and you're able to see or listen to what we're doing, you're doing far better than a lot of people out all over the world, especially during this time.
Yeah,
So much chaos.
yes.
And I truly believe in my heart there's no accidents. Everything is divine. And you just have to trust the process. But it's really up to you to figure out what you're doing or what you want to do. No one else could really tell you. You could go to all the seminars, all the teachings, but they're just going to tell you their own side. But if you're truly honest with yourself and if you do have a desire that you want to pursue, don't be afraid. Don't worry about anything else. Just follow that path and listen to within, and life will give you the things you need at exactly when you need it.
Well said. Well said. I like that. Don't be afraid. I wrote that down. It's powerful stuff. Powerful stuff. This was wonderful, our time together, and I'm so glad that Maria out there in Poland got us together. Here's two Jersey guys brought together by somebody in Poland. I think that's outstanding, and I'm really
Yes,
grateful for that. And
it
I'm
was meant to
grateful,
be.
yes, and I'm grateful for you. And hey, come back, get together with some folks to talk about experience. I mean, I could put together some people who I've spoken to, and maybe just talk about these things because it's a wonderful universe out there and
Yes,
so many wonderful things. So I'm here for you. Please come back in any shape, way, form, because I'm so enthralled with your journey because I share some of those elements, and so I'm a believer. I'm like a daydream believer. It was a song from the '60s by the Monkees, Daydream Believer. So I'm like a daydream believer, and thrilled that we met, Sam, and to be continued.
likewise.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank
So,
you for the opportunity, Kevin. Appreciate it. Thank you
oh
so
yeah,
much.
thank you so much. Don't leave. I'm just going to stop recording for a second.